We are called to celebrate life for its beauty, its joy, and the meaning that we bring to it by our labor and our love. How much more fitting that we celebrate a life at its ending. In celebration, despite our profound sorrow, we honor the legacy of a life well lived and the gift beyond measure that our loved one gave us. In our grief, we may forget the precious gift that we can still bestow upon our loved one. It is the gift of memory. May this service mark the beginning of this lifelong work as we remember with deep affection the many ways in which Carol touched our lives. Good afternoon. I am the Reverend Erin Dyka Holly, and I serve as the acting lead minister here at All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, which has been Carol's religious community for 21 years. I am joined by the Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons, our senior minister. We thank each of you for being here to offer your support and consolation to Carol's family, and we invite you to a brief reception in the lobby after the service. After the reception, you may join us in scattering Carol's ashes in the memorial garden. We kindle the chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, in honor of the life of Carol Harsin. May its flame remind us of the warmth of her spirit, its light, the glow of love she shared so openly with the world. Our congregation names our purpose as community and how we are to be in relationship with one another through our covenant. Please rise in body or spirit as we recite the covenant together. Goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join us in singing Gather the Spirit.
By the and summer to fall. The chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
A litany which Carol invited us to share together today. Out of the Stars by Robert Weston. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come, stardust and sunlight mingling through time and through space.
Out of the stars we have come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come.
Time out of time, before time, in the vastness of space, Earth spun to orbit the sun. Earth, with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas.
Earth, warmed by sun, lit by sunlight. This is our home. Out of the stars have we come.
Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time. Mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea.
Out of the stars, rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life.
Ponder this thing in your heart. Life up from the sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love.
Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain, life from within, giving birth, rose to love.
This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth, and life upon earth rose to love.
This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart cry wonder, sing that we live.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, but you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk
It is rare, in my experience, to come to tell the story of a person as fundamentally loving as Carol Harsin and find in it no thread of secret, no secret shame or pain that kept them all their lives humble or tender, but only, as for Carol, love instructing and eliciting love in return. She grew up surrounded by the protection of an affectionate family. Her parents, Beulah and Leonard Garfield, her older brother, Jerry, her maternal grandparents living across the street, her other grandparents only a few blocks away, and when she was 11 years old, the birth of her baby sister, Penny. Carol and her siblings would later come to understand that their family had technically been poor, but no one seems to have thought or said this during their childhood. The one misery of her young life, a tendency to motion sickness, was rendered less of a burden to her and her fellow travelers when frequent road trips to visit family in New England with her dad's parents became optional, with the alternative of staying in Northeast Kansas City as guest of her other grandparents. As a child and teenager, she had circles of close friends and loved parties and getting dressed up, and of course dancing, and dancing lessons. She was active in the Girl Scouts, although she was not an outdoorsy person in adulthood. She once remarked that one of her favorite things in nature was concrete, because it separated her from mud and bugs. Carol was an eager student at James Elementary, and she enjoyed school. It quickly became her ambition to attend college, something that her family would not be able to provide. Her working life began at the soda counter of the small neighborhood drugstore near her home. Only the pursuit of a career could justify an investment such as college, and as a woman, Carol's career options were narrowly limited. The sight of blood made her queasy, so nursing wouldn't work. Spelling not being her best subject, a secretarial vocation seemed unlikely. That left teaching, and since she enjoyed reading and liked children, that was the profession for which she decided to prepare. She graduated from Northeast High School and from Central Missouri State University with a bachelor's degree in elementary education. Throughout her high school and college years, she worked as a sales clerk at the Sears department store 2 miles from her home. Soon after completing her degree, Carol married her college sweetheart, Herb Miller, and they soon welcomed their son, Stephen Gregory. The brief marriage did not thrive and was perhaps one of the most difficult times of Carol's life. When it ended after a few years, she returned to school for a graduate degree in reading education. She served the Shawnee Mission School District as a reading specialist for 35 years, retiring from teaching in 2005. In 1969, Carol gave marriage another try with Rod Harsin, a neighbor and supportive friend and fellow reading specialist, who embraced her son and supported her teaching career. They also shared an interest in astronomy and speculative science fiction and space exploration. They were happily married for 54 years until her death. Around the time of her retirement, Carol confronted a diagnosis of breast cancer, which she overcame with the support of Rod and her family, especially her sister-in-law, Marilyn. She never lost her cheerful, generous, and caring spirit. She survived the death of her beloved grandparents and parents, as well as her older brother, Jerry, drawing closer to Rod, to her son, Steve, and his wife, Kimberly, and her grandchildren, Andy and Indigo, her sister, Penny, and her husband, Ken, her sisters-in-law, Bev Garfield, Janet Harsin, Trudy Radnow and her husband, Fritz, Deb Carlson and her husband, Clay, as well as Rod's brother, L.D. Harsin, and his wife, Marilyn, and 6 nephews and 3 nieces and their spouses, and 6 great-nephews and 1 great-niece, and her cousin, Vicki Rittenhouse, and her husband, Dennis. Family get-togethers and parties with friends, as well as time with her grandchildren, filled Carol's life with joy. She loved planning parties and game nights. Line dancing continued her childhood love of dance, and she became an active bird watcher. Carol and Rod found the community of Unitarian Universalism a good match for their intellectual curiosity and spiritual journey, as well as their interest in social justice and the spirituality of naturalism. Carol, as was her nature, made connections and friendships, found committees to join and task forces to serve, found people to play with and dance with and have dinner with, found friends. Everywhere she was with us, she brought warmth and cheer, love without judgment, and joy without bitterness, the rare magic of a truly happy heart, whose pleasure it was to overflow into brightness in the lives of others. We shall miss her, of course. That is the nature of our humanity, for it is, as the humanist poet Kenneth Patton says, none but the callous will belittle the sorrow of human heart at the death of their beloved. There is no sure medicine for this ill, and those who love truly wish for none. We know our sorrow as a necessary price of the joy of love and connection. The heavier our sorrow, the more has been that which is taken away. They who embrace and affirm life willingly invite sorrow as the risk-taking in owning the fullness of life and companionship. We learn to possess our sorrows as the measure of our loves. Time dulls the pain, but even the medicine of time is not assured. The only final healing is to create our peace within ourselves by possessing our sorrows within our solitude, by possessing our memories and finding in them strength. The horizon of death has been an enduring mystery on the landscape of human experience. Whether our spiritual energy continues consciousness in coherent personality or dissolves and is absorbed into the great creativity of the cosmos unfolding. Yet we may trust that none of us may know for certain this mystery until we set forth upon that final journey for ourselves. Yet we may trust that that sunset land of our imagination with all pain, uncertainty, and fear left far behind. And we may trust also that the greatest promises of life remain true. The persistence of beauty and virtue, the immortality of goodness and honest love, the enduring value of a life of joy and generous service. And we may be certain that whatever remains of Carol's spirit is at peace and beyond all harm. As she was good, that goodness will be her guardian always. As she was loved, that love will attend her forevermore. And that she is free now to join once again in the great cosmic dance of creativity. And so let us celebrate her memory by rising and joining together in the song which she hoped that we would share on this day.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. The good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Please be seated. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry writes, "Bit by bit, nevertheless, it comes over us that we shall find never, or that we shall never again hear the laughter of our friend, that this one garden is forever locked against us. And at that moment begins our true mourning. For nothing in truth can replace our companion. She cannot be created out of hand. Nothing can match the treasure of common memories, of trials endured, of quarrels and reconciliations and generous emotions. The work of grief is important. It seeks to heal the enormous loss of a loved one. Healing does not come from forgetting, rather it is done through the work of remembering. Though the memory reminds us of whom we have lost, it will also restore her to us in a new way. We no longer have her physical presence to comfort us, but over time, the memories of Carol will fill our hearts to overflowing. Let us begin the work of remembering Carol by telling our favorite stories of her. As you feel moved, I invite you to come forward and share a memory of Carol.
Those who don't know me, my name is Indigo. I'm her eldest grandson. Carol meant the world to me. She still does. She was always my biggest cheerleader. She was the reason I had a bouncer when I was born. She supported me through anything and everything. I could do no wrong in her eyes except maybe the tattoos. She wasn't very fond of them and made that known. One of my favorite memories with her will always be, it's a recent one. I'm a hairstylist. I work at beauty brands currently, and I attribute the job that I have to her. She was my model for the interview. To her dance friends, sorry, I'm the reason it was canceled that day. I needed a model for a technical interview. My dad said, call your grandmother. She canceled her plans that day, came in, and I nailed the interview, got the job that has helped change my life, and so I can never leave. She supported me when I came out as transgender. She had questions, of course, but she was always there for me, and I think was excited to know that she had 2 grandsons. She will always be loved and always be missed.
I'm Don Dickey. I'm a member here at All Souls. And I'm in awe of Rod's wisdom in marrying Carol. And I've been to their home a number of times, and it's always a warm and welcoming place. And at a couple of the parties, she gave away these handcrafted pens, ballpoint pens, that her son had made. And I think I have a couple of them, which are wonderful for remembering Carol. And I know, I think after I received the first one, maybe years later, she indicated her son was a little reluctant to make some more for another upcoming party. And I'll always remember clearly the words she shared in how she related to her son as only a mother could. I carried you for 9 months. Big time commitment, more modest time commitment. So as a result, I got these beautiful handcrafted, unique in all the world pens. And I didn't bring it today, but the Harry Potter party gave me a wand.
I don't know if I could do this. Carol started dancing with me a little over 10 years ago. And she was just like my right arm, you know. And when she first started, wasn't too long after her ordeal with breast cancer. And she shows up with her shoes that she wore when she made Rodney go square dancing. So she had these professional dancing shoes, you know, and she didn't like them. They didn't fit right. And so there was other people there that doing this, but they would put socks over the toe of their tennis shoe and be able to slide around. Well, there's no telling how many times Carol wore those socks over her shoes to the grocery store on her way home from dancing. No one at the store ever said a word. And Carol said she would never notice till she'd get up to the checkout counter, you know. And there would be those little sock things on the end of her shoes. She was such a fine human being. She was just one of the sweetest people I think I've ever known. And we are all going to miss her, ILD, a great deal. Thank you.
All Souls has had a movie group for over the last decade, and Carol and Rod were a big part of that. And because of Carol, the movie group not only selected a lot of art films, but Harry Potter and Star Wars. And one of the things that I think Carol had a tradition before the movie group, and that was an Oscar party. And so the movie group moved that here to the church, and you could always count on Carol and Rod to be early with a big box of material to decorate the room, lots of Oscars, lots of glitzy tablecloths, and she added so much to the group, and she and Rod really always kept us from seeing too violent movies because they didn't like violence. And we all loved her and miss her very much.
I too remember Carol's wonderful parties and being a part of that. And she was as gracious a guest as she was a host. I remember Indigo coming to our house to make gingerbread houses. And Carol and I served on the board of this institution. Yeah, anyway, she and I were a task force to increase membership, and I don't know anybody else besides me that may remember hiring decision that we made, Buddhist guy, anyway, whatever. We had the most fun. Anything with Carol was fun. Seriously, cleaning the bathroom would have been fun. I don't know that we ever did that, but she did. I apologize. I'm gonna murder this song, but I don't know. There was this ancient TV show called The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and the song went, "Who can light the world up with her smile?" That was Carol.
Hi, I'm the bouncer from Indigo's birth. My job was to keep Carol in the waiting room because her enthusiasm over being a grandmother was epic proportions. When Indigo arrived and in the years that followed, we affectionately referred to Carol as Grandma Flash because she had a camera. For everything and everywhere, there was Carol with her camera. Her enthusiasm for whatever was on offer was epic. Whether it was the Oscar party, where I'm not sure which was worse, when she won and gloated or when she lost and was sad about that, or when it was hanging out for hours and hours in conversation that rarely ever lulled. Her enthusiasm for life is remarkable.
My name's Natasha. I am a niece of Aunt Carol's. There are 1,000 memories, so you can't just pick one. But as we have all heard, parties were important and decorations were important. And so over the last 2 months, I've been thinking about this and just wrote it down. Your love was like a handful of beautiful, glittery confetti sprinkled at every party to make the decorations absolutely perfect. Long after the party is done, long after the vacuum has been run, long after you have departed, just like glitter, I will forever find your love all around me.
I'm the birth giver of that one and the other. And that is how I'm listed in his phone. Steve and I met at a wedding dance. At a wedding, there was a dance. He asked me to dance. The father of the bride cut in. Somebody else asked me to dance. I'd really like to dance. Well, I did before the knees kind of got shot. But so he thought he'd missed his chance. He was getting ready to leave, and I, being the shy, retiring person that I am, shouted across the venue, "Hey, Miller, where the hell do you think you're going?" Which is how we started dating. And our third date was to meet his parents and to meet Andy and Cynthia, which is his best friends. And early on, this was a Halloween wedding. He was dressed as the devil. It was awesome. I'm sorry. He was dressed as a man please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. He was that devil. He was very sympathetic. And so we hadn't been dating. I mean, we hit it off like gangbusters. We started dating immediately. And I think we were maybe a month in, and he's like, okay, we really need to start working on our costumes, because when Halloween happens on a weekend, my mother throws a party, and it is legendary. And there are prizes. We have to be working on this now. So we ended up deciding that we would go with the hippie theme and the tree hugger. Please forgive me at this point for admitting that at one point I was a registered Republican, which might have been like at the beginning of our relationship. It's not anymore, okay, so don't hold that against me. But so it was more funny if I was the tree hugger and he was the tree. So I made him a tree costume, and I came shackled to him. I am a little chippy because some friends of ours came late, and they were dead people from the Titanic. And so Steve won first place, and then Steve and Cindy won, and I didn't even get a mention. But that's okay. I'm not bitter. The parties were legendary. The excitement that Carol, when she met me, and was, oh, I'm sorry, you're Catholic? Oh, how lovely to meet you, because grandchildren were never in the offing. And she loved my children to the moon and back, and me. And I will forever hold a piece of Carol in my heart, because I was so lucky to have yelled at her son.
Well, good afternoon, all. And thank you for coming to this celebration of life for my dear big sister, Carol. And I'm Penny Dahl. Now, first I want to talk about some of our history. Mom and Dad and Jerry were having a nice little family. And then Carol rocked this lovely little boat in 1943. This beautiful baby girl had loving grandparents and great-grandparents everywhere. And we were truly lucky. We had our one set of grandparents directly across the street. Grandma Cooksey, which is Mom's mom, was always Carol's confidant. I think she was really a molding part of what Carol is. Now, I'm not sure how it happened, but the facts remain that someone paid for this darling little girl to have dance lessons. So that's the beginning of our party girl, Carol. Carol was also a Girl Scout, and Mom was one of the troop leaders. February 3rd, 1954, Carol turned 11. Mom was 8 months pregnant with me. The troop held a party. The birthday party and baby shower all rolled into one. Maybe you've seen the picture of the whole Girl Scout troop when they were about 14, and me all dressed up right in the middle of them. They treated me like a baby doll. My earliest memories were when I was about 4, walking with Carol on the way the 3 blocks to church. We stopped at Carol's best friend's, Winnie Kay's house, and along the way we met others. I must say, I don't remember much about church, but I do remember the walk home. We all stopped at Anderson Drug Store for a Coke. Me and my big girlfriends. They all treated me like a baby doll. Then there were the parties. I remember Jerry and Carol and I decorating the garage for all those parties. There was only one problem. Somebody put me to bed before they started. Then there were Halloween parties. Yes, Mom threw Halloween parties. Maybe you remember seeing a picture of Jerry as a hobo and Carol as a ballerina. She brought that out every Halloween. Now, I simply don't remember where Carol was when Mom and I were making Steve's Batman costume for Halloween, or where Carol was when I took my darling 4-year-old nephew trick-or-treating. Maybe Carol was practicing for her own Halloween parties, who knows? And as Kimberly just said, it was a very important part of Carol's life. Professor McGonagall. Need I say more? April 2018, Carol joined me on one of my business trips in Orlando, Florida. We to spend a weekend visiting Harry Potter's magical world of Harry Potter. Jackie, my dear friend and colleague, would go with us. We had a blast. We experienced everything. Another dear friend and colleague, Daniel, was there at breakfast before we went, and he said, Carol and I were the oldest goofball kids he had ever seen setting off going Harry Pottering. He said, that's a wonderful trait to have, keeping the inner kid in you and being like Peter Pan and never growing up. That is certainly what Carol was that weekend, with her Professor McGonagall wand in hand and practicing every stroke at every opportunity. Jackie had only spent one fun weekend with Carol. When I called her to tell her about Carol's diagnosis and later about her passing, Jackie cried on the phone. That was the kind of love and kindness that my sister made on the world. Now, did I mention Carol was the one that got the dancing lessons? Not me. Now, Steve says that's a discussion for another time. Okay, all right. But I grew up watching Carol get ready on a Saturday night for the high school dances in the party dresses that Mom made. And Mom used to use the remnants to make me Barbie dresses. Now skip forward to Rod and Carol's 50th anniversary. Ken and I went with them to see an ABBA tribute. So Carol and I sang and danced in the aisles of the theater to Dancing Queen. Another time, Carol and I sang and danced together at Las Vegas Bellagio Conservatory to Come Fly With Me. Another time, we danced at Treasure Island's country western bar, Gillies. We danced the night away with 6 24-year-old ladies at their bachelorette party. Now, Carol had aggressive cancer about 12 years ago. This is when she met up with her dear dance group. Now, Carol was a rock and roll kind of girl, but dancing is dancing. So she worked hard, and twice a week, in the middle of the day, at a local bar and pool hall, Carol went line dancing to country and western music. Go figure. She absolutely loved the dancing and loved her dance group. Yes, friends that supported my dear sister's addiction, dancing. 50 and 60-plus-year-old women, they became some of her closest friends. She seldom missed a day. August 2018, I too had breast cancer. During my time off from work, Carol introduced me to her dance group. They welcomed me with open arms into their world of line dancing in the middle of the day at a local bar and pool hall. It's truly wonderful, and I treasure those memories. Now, Carol and I are extremely lucky. We married the love of our lives. Rod and Ken supported us at our work and our passions, and encouraged us at our dreams. Now, my semi-perfect life changed about 15 years ago. 2009, Ken was diagnosed with Parkinson's. 2017, Ken broke his leg. 2018, I had breast cancer. 2019, Ken's heart stopped, and he had emergency surgery for a pacemaker. 2020, Ken had surgery again for a watchman. I retired in the middle of a pandemic. Don't do that. 2021 was probably my hardest year. Ken went crazy. Paranoia schizophrenic from the hallucinations of Parkinson's. During all those times, Carol and Rod were there. Doctor's appointments by the dozens. Emergency hospital visits, morning, noon, and night. We're talking 4 a.m. stuff. They came to our house to help when Ken was so confused. They were there as soon as I called. Now, Ken and I remember extremely well December 1st. It was a Thursday. Carol went to dance. It was Gigi's birthday, and Carol was always the party girl. She said nothing about her pain to her dear friends. Carol had to come see Ken and I directly after dancing. Ken and I sat at our dining room table with Carol between us as she explained the results from yesterday's test, pancreatic cancer. We all knew what that meant. Terrible pain, horrible back pain, you can't eat, and more excruciating pain. Our older brother, Jerry, died 10 years ago from that very same cancer. But the one thing Carol had said several times, I'm not going to be here to take care of you, Ken. In closing, Carol's best qualities, her ability to make anyone and everyone feel important and valued, her ability to bring the very best out of us, her smoothing smile, her flattering phraseology, her incredible passion, and she will always be the very best part of me. Thank you for listening. What?
I'm L.D. Harsin. I shall miss Carol very much. I think I'll miss even more Rodney and Carol because what you could gather out of all this, but wasn't every picture, whatever, was I think the most important thing in her life was her love for Rodney and the other part of her that they shared. And as she said to many of us, I think, including me, at the end when she was losing her life, as a tribute and explanation of what I'm saying about her, she said to several of us, take care of Rodney. Take care of Rodney. So that would be my tribute to my lovely sister-in-law to attempt to do that. Thank you.
Grief feels like a lonely task, taken on in the darkness that descends upon the soul. And yet, in sharing, in listening, in remembering together, we have brought light into those personal recesses, the light of her laughter and her joy, with us once again as we are here together. Truly, hear in one another's voices that you are not alone in your grief. It is shared, and in its sharing, may it feel ever lighter.
Our task today is in part to share and acknowledge our loss and our sorrow with those who participate in it with us. It is also to pledge ourselves to remembering who Carol was and what she brought into our lives. And so I invite you to join me in this litany. Your response is, we remember them. Let's try that together. All right, thank you. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, as when we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have decisions that are difficult to make, when we have joy that we crave to share, when we have achievements that are based on theirs. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as. Now please rise in body or spirit as we sing together, Love Will Guide Us.
for thousands you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to healing. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Please be seated. Let us not be overly concerned with the length of our lives. Let us rather take thought for their quality. Since it is left to us to continue in the world, may the death of this beloved one recall us to our own destiny, strengthening us in our dedication to some noble purpose and in our loyalty to those who remain with us. If so much that is precious can be so easily lost, let us more clearly cherish all that remains. The love we can no longer give to our beloved, may we give to those who have need of it. Whatever we have known and loved becomes a part of us and is ours forever. While all about us and within us there is mystery, and the mystery shines with a light that reveals to us all that is beautiful and good. May we have faith to believe that it is not otherwise beyond the limit of our sight, that beauty endures, that goodness reigns, that love outlasts time and death and all the stars. So now may we go from here in peace of heart, in compassion for one another, in quietness and confidence to take up the duties of our waiting lives. Live in love, die in love. It's that simple and that difficult.